Go.
All right, it's rolling?
It's rolling.
Okay. All right, guys. So this is part 2 of the birth story of Zephaniah. Got a lot of Z's, y'all. So by that time, I made it to the delivery room, and the contractions was on and popping. Oh my gosh, it was so, oh my goodness. And I was, so they checked me, and I made it to, I was 9 centimeters dilated. And I'm like, and the contractions were just going very, very, very fast. And by the time they got ranked up, I had asked the nurse, I was like, you can't give me any medicine? And she was like, no. She was just looking. I said, this is why I want to come to the hospital, because I was going to be tempted. Oh my gosh. I wish I could have videoed it. It was, y'all, I was delusional. I was so messed up with the pain. I was laughing during the contraction. It was just, oh my gosh, what an experience. And then, so it just progressed and kept going. And so my dude was like, won't you get on your hands and knees? Let her get on her hands and knees. And I'm telling y'all, the doctors and the nurses, y'all, it was like they was watching TV. They did not know what to do with me. Because, I think what y'all already know, they don't usually handle natural births. They handle medicals and epidurals and C-sections. And they had all these scissors and tools just lined up. And it was like 15 nurses and doctors in my room just standing there watching me, looking at me like I was a TV show. And I felt so uncomfortable. I remember saying, you know, why am I naked? And I was just talking. And then I remember opening my eyes, and when I opened them up, I saw about 15 doctors and nurses with green on, and I just saw name tags everywhere. And she said, look, you got this. It's okay. And I was like, I really felt all the pain, the pushing down. And my doula told me that she said, she heard one of the doctors say, I don't understand why there's so much blood. And so they helped me turn over. I birthed him in the same position like I did at home. Well, I was squatting, sort of, giving birth to Zariah, but I was on my hands and knees in the bed. So I turned around. They got me turned around, and Melissa, my bad, y'all. She don't like my doula. She kept her hand on the monitor, and the heart was still beating, everything was still going good, but there was doctors and nurses everywhere. And then Sam was beside me, and they seen the water, like the bubble, about to break. And my husband kept saying, just let everything happen on his own. Don't touch her. Don't touch her. And I got a little irritated with him. And I'm sorry, boo-boo. I was in pain. But she was like, whenever you're ready, she had the little popsicle stick. Whenever you're ready for your water to break, we here. And I'm like, ooh, I was trying to just let it break on its own. And it was like, I said, just go ahead and break it. So they broke my water. And that's when everything started happening. Like I said, I had got on my hands and knees in the bed, and everybody was, I mean, it was like watching a TV show to them up in there. I was so uncomfortable. I felt everything. And so after my water broke, I was on my hands and knees, and I was just pushing. And by that time, I think I was 10. So I got on my hand, and then I felt the ring. They call it the lightning ring, like when the head comes. I'm talking about birthing this baby was worse than the other babies, than Zariah's, because I felt everything. I think I was delusional. So I felt the head coming out, and that's when I told myself to push. And in my mind, I was trying to get that peaceful presence of God that I had at home with Zephaniah, and I could not get there. I felt like in my mind, in the spiritual realm, where I was just calling out to God and I felt like he wasn't there. I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't get myself mentally together to cope with the pain. And so I just kept screaming, God, please help me. Please help me. Please, 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 please. And for some reason, the song, one of my favorite songs that me and my husband like listening to is called Only You Can Satisfy by William McDowell. And I told my husband, I asked the doctor, I said, can I please put some music on? She was like, sure. So,
you asked the nurse.
I asked the nurse. So,
well, the doctor was in there too.
Everybody was in there.
Because they were waiting.
Yeah, they was just waiting for the baby to come. So he put the song on, and he put the wrong version on because it's two ways it's sung, and I can tell. I love music. I can tell when I heard how I heard it the first time versus I hear it again. And
no, that ain't what happened. I put the wrong song on. Period. Maybe I was trying to get to it.
Oh yeah, he was trying to get to it. But like I said, you said you had played the other version. Then you turn around.
Yeah, but when I played it, you still listen to it. It calmed me down, but you keep telling the story.
Okay, but he had put a song called "In the Garden" by Marvin Sapp. And he said, I come to the garden. And I'm like, no, that's I said, I don't want that. So I was like, Sam, would you come on? Get the song going. And he said, Lexus, I'm coming. So I know he was like, his adrenaline was probably rushing too because he was trying to get to the song. I'm like, well, I don't want that. I want my song. So finally he got the right song on. And what about 3 minutes later he was out, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
No, I played it.
You played it twice, and that song was 15 minutes long.
15 minutes each.
Yeah, 15 minutes each.
Before 30 minutes he was out.
Yeah, about before 30 minutes, after he played this song repeatedly, Zephaniah was out. And that's when I got a little comfort just hearing that song. And that he came on out, and they weighed him and out. And after he came out, it was so chaotic up in there. So many people were moving around. They was moving around like it was an emergency, like he couldn't breathe, and he was fine. And it was just crazy. And so they got me back on my back, and I rested. And so this part came in where the placenta had been birthed yet. So they had cut the baby. And keep in mind, I don't have any medicine. So if I was induced...
All right, baby. They cut what? What did they cut? You say they cut the baby. No. They didn't cut the baby. Yeah, that's what you said, though. They cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah, but right. You know I ain't cut... They know what I mean.
All right.
See, I'm a trill. But they had cut the baby from the umbilical cord, so... My baby did not get all his blood, but it's okay. If I was thinking, I would have told him, let him get all that blood, wait till it's white to cut it. But they was moving so fast. And so my husband went over there where the baby was, and they weighed him, and they said he weighed 9 pounds and 4 ounces. And he came at 3:52 that morning. So it was like I was in labor for 2.5 hours, I think.
Yeah, he can't. You started your labor at 1 here. Mm-hmm. You got there. You got in the back. You got to the room around about 1:45.
Okay. And
you labored to 3:54. So under 3 hours the baby was here. 2 and a little bit over a half hour the baby was here. Yeah,
that's how fast the labor was.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get to let him get all his blood. So Sam went over there, made sure they were doing their job and respected what we wanted. So there was a nurse. Like I said, keep in mind that I had no medicine. So in my past births, when you have medicine, they just they yank your placenta out, and you don't feel it. So I'm feeling everything. And this lady is down there, got scissors at the end of the cord, just trying to yank it out. And my doula said she was so irritated. She was so irritated about what she's doing. And so she said, let mom have the baby. Let them get that, what they call it, oxytocin. Let them get that connection. And so they gave me the baby. And then she said the nurse looked at her and said, oh. Like, I know I'm forgetting something. So they gave me Zephaniah, and the placenta came right on out. And then I thought back after it was all over with. I said, with Zariah, I delivered her. They put her immediately in my arms. We was able to walk to the room. I still was holding baby, and the placenta came out on its own. So it's something about getting automatically connected with mom and baby to make things move on its own. And I thought that was so amazing.
Yeah, it's important for the mom to release that oxytocin,
yes,
which is the love hormone, while her and the baby still connected through the umbilical cord.
Yes.
But even though they cut the umbilical cord and they was trying to get the placenta out and they were pulling on and stuff, the doula was like, hey, let the mommy hold the baby.
Yes.
And while y'all trying to do that, and so once Alexis started holding the baby, the placenta automatically started coming out because that love hormone.
Yeah, because
the baby
the connection of the baby and the mom.
What you call it, skin on skin.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's very important for that. But you know, the hospital is a business. They trying to get things done and stuff like that. Yeah, you keep that. I can go on and on, but it's your thing.
No, I mean, you can come on if you want to, but it's your thing too. But anyway, I was like, wow. So we got the baby delivered, and they got me to a room. And like I said, the doctors was just, it's like they did not know what to do with me. And so looking back, and I thought maybe, because I asked the doctors, I'm like, did y'all find a diagnosis for that blood and the blood clot? Because I told them, and they was like, no. The nurse, they looked at my chart, and there was, nobody charted nothing about the blood. That's the reason why I came to the hospital. So I looked up on Google, I looked up on YouTube, and I did find, before I found the direct answer, I did find that blood clots can be good because it keeps you from over bleeding. So I'm like, oh. But I'm like, that ain't the answer I need. So my doula said she was going to research it. I kept looking because I'm like, what happened that I got here? I did not want to be here. I did not want to be here. Why did this happen? I was supposed to have this baby at home. And so when I got to the room, I began to have a little regret. But I didn't know. My main goal was to save my baby. I didn't know. I couldn't get a heartbeat. I just wanted him to be okay. So I stopped beating myself up. And I researched it, and I finally realized it was in this book. So I'm going to tell you what happened. I got in contact with the author of this book, Heather Baker. Told her my story. And when I purchased this book in 2020, I went straight to the third trimester. I didn't read the whole thing like I should have.
14 minutes.
Okay. I didn't read the whole book like I should have. I went to the parts that I needed to learn. But now I'm going to go back and read this book from front to back so I can fully understand birth. So I inboxed her, and she said my blood vessel busted because the labor shot out so fast because of the midwife. I took the midwife brew, and it jump shot my labor to where it busted a let's see, I got the messages here. I got the messages here.
What's going on, babe?
No, I'm looking for something.
Okay.
She told me, I told her, Heather Baker, my story, and she said, you just dilated fast. She said the cervix opened and popped a vessel. It happens. And she said, did you go in just for the clot? And I said, she said, if so, I wish you had messaged me first. I would have told you to stay home. And I said, oh my gosh, are you serious? I said, yes, I went in because I saw a blood clot. And I showed her the picture. And she said, well, she was also telling me, she said, it's in the book. So I went, opened it up, and it's under issues, complications, and labor. And it's called bleeding in labor. And she said, I'm going to read this. So this is normal as the cervix opens. There are tiny vessels in the cervical canal that can rupture and release as it opens. It can be concerning after not seeing blood from a period of over 9 months. Blood is not a concern as long as it's not heavy and has large clots or is consistent. Often spotting is accompanied with the mucus plug, or you may just see small droplets to a teaspoon of spotting. You may even pass a small clot or two, then nothing much after. As long as it does not progress into a larger amount or happen frequently over hours, then it's likely a normal blood loss from the cervical area. It's very normal to see some blood in later stages of labor, as this often signals the baby is coming very soon. It happens that the last bit of the cervix opens up. Of course, it's not having any blood to show is normal too. Heavy bleeding or several clots, more than a tablespoon in size, can be a concern. The placenta may have started to pull away from the uterus, or you may have a low-lying placenta. If the birth is imminent, it's not an issue. But if you are in early labor and it continues to happen to get worse, it's wise to see a medical professional. So I was at the end of my pregnancy, and what happened was the midwife brew shot my labor faster than it should have. So the midwife brew worked, but it jump-started me in labor so bad until a blood vessel popped, and then it formed a blood clot. Thank God, because blood clots do keep you from over bleeding. So I bled that one time, and I really didn't bleed anymore from riding to the ambulance to having the baby. But they did see some blood during the labor and delivery.
Which is normal.
Yeah, which is normal.
What happened, Lex was already in slow labor. Go look that up, research what slow labor is, but to make a long story short, slow labor is when the body's just taking its time to label. Mm-hmm. And this was Lex's 7th pregnancy. So this time her body was just really taking its time. And when Lex took that midwife brew, it took her body in shock. It made everything go from, it was going 10 miles per hour into 100 miles per hour in less than 3 hours. And that would cause everything to go faster. Yeah. The midwife brew. And your body wasn't prepared for that. Or ready for that.
No, it wasn't.
Yes.
So that's what happened. And then once I found that out, I was like, because the doctors couldn't even give me, I was asking the nurses, and they said, that sounded like placenta eruption, but the placenta wasn't erupted. Because if the placenta was erupted, then they would have automatically said, okay, the heartbeat is low, it's faint, we got to do an emergency C-section. And I still got a natural birth and had him with no medications. So I feel good about that, but I hate that I didn't know that. Because, I didn't read the whole book. I just read parts that would help me give birth to a baby. And I should have read that. I didn't know. Because every pregnancy is different. And so, The blood just threw me off, and I just wanted to save him. I wanted to make sure he was okay. So, I was just, I didn't know, and I felt a little regret, because I'm gonna tell y'all something as well. The home birth versus the hospital birth. Zariah's, I was about in labor for like 5 hours, but I didn't feel that intense pain like I did in the hospital atmosphere. I felt like I was hanging over a cliff birthing this baby. But at home, because the atmosphere was right, the gospel music was playing, everybody, it was just perfect. It wasn't...
You have all these strangers looking at you.
I didn't have all these people looking at me. The people that I had in my space, I felt comfortable with. And God was in the building. He was in this dining room. And the ring light part... I'm good.
9 minutes.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a long one. The ring light part, when the head come out, I don't remember feeling that sting as bad as I did.
Lightning sting?
Huh, yes. Yeah, it's called a ring light or something like that. And so that's why I began to feel regret, because I'm like, I missed another opportunity to get in the presence of God. But part of me was like, I'm glad I came, because I didn't know what that was.
Yeah. I
didn't know what that blood was. I didn't want to take a chance and have a baby at home and he would be stillborn. I had to go. The place I did not want to go, I had to go. So, I'm glad I went, and I'm going to end this right here because we only got like 9 minutes. And in the third clip, we're going to talk about the spiritual aspect of this birth and why it was so significant for me to have him in the hospital. Because at the end of the day, God was still in control. May not be like I wanted it to be, but in the next video, I'm going to explain the spiritual part of why things took place. So, next video coming up. My husband is narrating.